Welcome to Busy Garden Life. I am so excited to share with you. We are celebrating 1 year of starting up this channel. And I thought I need to do a nice year in review and a plan for the future next year with you. Now, for those of you who don't know me and my family, my name is Sarah. I'm married to my husband, Steve. He is a paramedic and firefighter. We have 4 kids, 11, 9, almost 7, and 2-year-old. And I own my own business. I'm a physical therapist. And so we moved here about 3 years ago in October, and we basically bought the property because my husband loves to hunt, and he wanted a place where he could just go and hunt in the backyard instead of having to take a trip and go up north. So we were kind of looking for property, and this one just seemed to fit us very well. At the time, I was pregnant with our 4th child, so it was nice to be able to upgrade to some property. We were on a golf course, and there just wasn't room for the kids to run around and play. We found more and more that there were golf balls in the yard when we were outside. It just wasn't ideal for them to be outside playing in fears of golf balls, hitting us. So, that was kind of part of it. But then, finding a good property for my husband to hunt on was also a big deal for us as well. So we found this property, and at first I was kind of like, well, I don't know, what am I gonna do? I've always liked to garden. I've never had a garden growing up. I've never really done any of that. I remember one year growing up, we had a garden, but I didn't help take care of it. I was not, in that process whatsoever. But I've always had just an interest in the back of my head of like, oh, it'd be cool to grow your own vegetables and put everything away and can and, do all that stuff. So I was talking to my husband, that next summer that we moved in, 2022. Now we had our youngest at that point in time, so it was not feasible for us to do anything just because, I was on maternity leave all summer and adjusting to 4 kids and still having to run a business. And so it was a lot that first year. So, but we had a lot of talks of like, all right, like they had a small little garden out in this area that I'm at now. And I said, well, if I'm going to do it, I'd like it bigger. Like I want to do a lot of it, right? And I want a garden big enough to be able to plant enough stuff for me to put away for the winter. So we kind of laid out this nice large garden, and the next summer we started it. We started kind of rototilling everything, digging everything up in the area, started putting the post in. So we went from really nothing to building a nice, 7.5-foot fence around this. I think it's like 45 by 60-ish, feet, something like that. So it's pretty big. I'm very much apparently a go big or go home type of girl because I didn't start small. I wanted to start big right off the bat. So anyway, so we kind of started that whole thing in 2023, and I had started all of my seeds. Or all my plants from seed that year because I wanted to try that whole thing. So I told my husband, if I'm starting these seeds, I'm going to need my garden up. We have to have a big fence because we obviously have a lot of deer and predators in the country. So we had to make sure that we had that nice tall fence. And so I started my seeds indoor that year, and my husband started kind of putting together the fence. We worked a lot on it. We didn't completely finish it the first year, but we got a good, base going. And as I was starting to go through this process of gardening and doing all these things, I kept getting the question asked, like, how do you do it? Like, what are you doing? Or how do you do it, 4 kids and owning a business, and your husband works crazy hours. And I thought to myself, I don't know, I just do it, right? I just do it. And for me, the gardening wasn't necessarily a chore. It was something fun for me to do. It was a hobby. Like, I hadn't had a real hobby in so long because I was just taking care of the kids and working. And so for me, it was something new and exciting and something that I could branch out and do for myself, but also help benefit the family as well, because I'm, feeding them healthy things that I know what's in the food. And it made me feel good. So I thought, well, why don't I start videoing and vlogging all of our starts to this homestead, right? So I'm taking my husband's hunting land and I'm now starting this homestead with it. And he's been very helpful and encouraging, as we go along this process, and helping me build all of my things that I want to build. And so I thought, well, let's start videoing it so I can show everybody like what we've taken this property and this house to from where it was, and what we're doing with it. And so last year, 2023, that's kind of where we started. We opened up the Busy Garden Life channel. We called it Busy Garden Life because we are busy. We are busy parents, working full time, raising 4 kids, 3 of them which are in sports right now. And it's a busy life, but we want that garden to be a part of it. And so that's where the name kind of came from, right? So as we started the channel in 2023, we also realized that we were so busy that we didn't get things off to a start like we wanted to. I tried to video a few things here and there, but ultimately the garden kind of did not get as much attention as I wanted to. Reason being, we were remodeling a lot of the inside of the house. So when we started, we had this big, in the living room office area. It's kind of an open concept downstairs, and it was kind of closed off by this huge oak entertainment center from the 90s when it was first built, and then this gas propane fireplace, because we only have electric out here, so we would have to get propane in order to do this fireplace. So it was never used. And after living here for a year, we said, we got to get rid of this. This is just not for us. Let's see what we can do to put in a nice natural fireplace. We have a ton of wood that we can burn all the time. Excuse me. And so that was our biggest first project we wanted to do. And with that, we also had a lot of white carpet and 4 different types of flooring in the downstairs. And I just couldn't keep up with the white carpet, 4 kids in the woods with a dog. It was impossible to keep it cleaned. So I said, well, if we're redoing the fireplace, let's do the floor as well. So take a look at what this old entertainment and fireplace used to look like. Look at these pictures here. All right, so that's what it looked like. And now, or I'll show you, I'll talk a little bit more, and then at the end we'll show you some updates. So as we were kind of deciding, what we want to do with the fireplace and the wood floor, we had the flooring guy come in, and, he's quoting us, and then he said something about, well, do you want this kitchen? And I said, well, eventually I'd like to change it around. There's a electric stove right in the middle of the island, right at the end of the island, and it's not safe for the kids, right? It's really not safe. They run around and they put their hands on the counter and rub it, and if it's been on, they're gonna get burnt. And so that was one of my biggest fears with that there. And there was other little things that I just didn't like. So take a look at what the kitchen used to look like. And so with that being said, I was kind of like, well, if we're going to do the floor, and he's saying that if we're going to do it, then we might as well, we want to do the kitchen, because you want to be able to, put the new cabinets on top of it, then So we decided to redo the kitchen, which then we decided to redo pretty much the whole first level. We ended up doing new cabinets in the laundry room because it was the same thing. Those things were old cabinets. My guess is they used them from where the kitchen at one point in time. Nothing really matched, so we said, let's go ahead and do that. The mudroom area was just a big closet with one rod. And when you have 4 kids that are small, they can't reach that rod. So coats and backpacks and shoes were all over. You couldn't even hardly walk in there. You couldn't find anything in the closet. And I was like, I do not like this area. I want a nice mud room with a little bit of cabinets, some drawers for the kids' shoes, some hooks for them to easily hang on, a bench. So long story short, the first year of us starting our Busy Garden Life channel, we ended up being inside most of the time, tearing apart our whole first level to have it redone. But let me show you a few of these clips here of what it looks like now. Now it's not completely done. We still have some finishing touches here and there. But overall, it looks so much better. We've got, here's the nice stone fireplace. It's double-sided. It's natural, so we can just use the wood from outside, which actually helps to heat the house as well. So it's fantastic. And then we've got the kitchen. The kitchen, we've moved a lot of the appliances around. The island no longer has the stove. We put a different stove in and a new hood. And then we also have a faucet that we're going to finish putting in for over the stove faucet, mainly for all my canning that I wanted to do. I wanted to make it easier to just fill those pots as opposed to having to carry them back and forth. So I was able to get that, and then check out the mudroom area. It's so much nicer. The kids can hang their backpacks and their coats and their winter stuff, and it's just been fabulous. So with that being said, last year we kind of got off to a slow start with vlogging a lot of our stuff, because at the time of remodeling, I didn't even think twice about videoing all that to show you what we were doing. We were just in the midst of, let's just do this. Like, we are in the heart of it, let's get it done. You know, so all I really have are the before and after pictures to show you. I don't have much of the process of going through and doing it all. But that's kind of what we did last year. And then as winter approached and I started my seedlings again, that's when I wanted to start sharing a little bit more with you guys on what we were doing. And then we got chickens. And so we started building a coop. And we got, we started those inside. So we've got, you know, a couple of those videos up on how we started them and, you know, what's been going on. So, you know, overall, this year has been a challenge at some sense, and absolutely wonderful in others, right? So you go with the ups and you go with the downs with everything. And so I wanted to show you what we have accomplished this year. So I'm going to show you the chicken coop, the remainder of the garden. We do have our beehives kind of set out there that we've added this year as well. You know, and they say like troubles or mishaps kind of come in threes, right? Well, this year we definitely had threes. We had... it started off with, we got our bees, and our first package of bees swarmed, or escounded is what they call it. They just left. So we kind of had to start over with the bees. And then the first day that I had planted all of my plants from seed into the garden, we had a hailstorm that evening that was not even on the radar, just kind of came up out of nowhere and wiped pretty much everything out. So I had to start over with that. And then the third thing is we went on vacation and we lost 2/3 of our flock, or almost 3/4 of our flock. We lost both of our turkeys, or both of our ducks, one of our turkey, and then 18 of our chickens. So we kind of had to start back up with that. And if you want to see those videos of all of our disappointments as well as all of our good things, we do have them up on the YouTube page. So kind of search through and find those so you can kind of see what happened. But I'm happy to say we have bounced back from all of that, right? It's been a challenge to do that, especially when you're first starting off. It can be so discouraging because you're like so excited about everything, and then next thing you know, it's, uh-oh, we got to start over. But with that being said, I want to show you I'm going to show you the chicken coop garden and then our kind of beehive area. And then I want to go over what we are planning for next year. So what you can look forward to seeing from us next year. All right, so since I'm in the garden, let's start with the garden. I just did an August garden update, but here it is. You can see that 7.5-foot fence all the way around on the outside. We do have a cool time-lapse camera up, so I'm hoping by the end of the year we'll get a really cool time-lapse of the garden throughout the year so you can see that. So that's the garden. It's nice and big, and it actually butts. The one end here now butts up to our chicken coop and the chicken run. So that shed is the coop there, and then we have this nice run here. I think what we want to do this year is kind of take a little cutout of one of these areas in the chicken coop, so by the end of the season I can kind of let them run through the garden and get all of the, kind of just eat and pick out some of these weeds, you know, because there's so many of them. But I don't want to do that until after all of the fruits and the vegetables, or otherwise they will gobble those up as well. All right, so let's kind of continue to go out here. I'm going to show you just the front of the chicken coop a little bit. And that was our big summer project. We have been working a lot on that, as well as the coop. In addition, we've been trying to, my daughter's been wanting a playhouse, so we've been trying to finish that this winter. We had a huge snowstorm and some trees fell on our, halfway done playhouse, so we kind of had to start over a little bit this year. So we've been working on that. We've also been working on a lean-to over our wood boiler that heats the house, so that way we have a place to store wood instead of constantly having to go out and chop wood and it being wet, and it's just not as efficient. So we've been doing a lot of like outdoor structure projects this year, where last year we did a lot of indoors. So let's head on over this way, because next I want to show you, we'll kind of wrap around the orchard to the beehive area. All right, so over in that area, it's pretty heavily weeded in flowers, but we do have some blueberry plants kind of hidden back there that we are going to hopefully get to grow. And then back here is our orchard. There was a coyote over here last night, so I'm kind of a little leery. But we have this orchard. Now, unfortunately, our orchard has not done as well as we were hoping this year. This is the second year. We planted everything, let me see. We planted everything in 2022, at the end of 2022, so in the fall. And last year we did have some peaches on the tree. This year it's nice and tall, but we didn't get any peaches. And then, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 apple trees, 2 cherry trees in the back, 2 peach trees, and 2 pear trees. So, and then we do have this apple tree that we found last year. It is an apple tree. We have recovered a lot of it. It was so overtaken by vines that we've cleared it up. But the trees are not doing great. We have not taken care of them. We've not sprayed them like we want to. So this area here is going to be a huge project for us next year. Next year, we want to make sure that we are spraying. We're probably going to start this fall spraying and figuring out how to prune them and get them to just kind of come back really nice, because my kids love peaches. and apples, and I really want to be able to have this stuff, applesauce. I've canned a ton of peaches, but I had to buy them, so I want to can our own. Apples, I want to make a bunch of applesauce. Apple cider vinegar is my thing. So I just posted a video of fire cider as well, which is huge for cold and flu season. And I love to make my own apple cider vinegar to be able to use for that, and I didn't again this year. So this is an area that we really want to make sure that next year does very well. So that's one of our projects for next year. I'll let you know the next one in a second. All right, so we've got this, and then, there's like stuff flying all over here. Got a lot of weeds. We do have some grape area over there that I'm gonna have to redo. I think I'm going to take our trellis, our pumpkin trellis out and actually put it over there where the grapes are so that the grapes can grow on that, up a trellis. And then last, over here we have our bee hives. All right, we've got 2 of them right now. I just took the super off my flow hive yesterday because it's the end of the season and we want the bees to be able to survive on their own. So we're going to add another one that we have a different type of hive. All right, so that's kind of like what we've done so far. And now I want to show you a little bit about what our plan is for next year coming up. So hopefully you'll want to kind of follow us along our journey as we do this, learn some things, or just kind of see how we're doing all of this homesteading. Hit that subscribe page, that way you can follow along and see how well we're doing all of this stuff, right? So the last thing, so the orchards are a big project, and then our really big project, I told my husband though, we have to have the chicken coop, the garden, the playhouse, and the lean-tos done before we can do this. But we are going to put in another pole barn. We bought a camper last year to go camping, and we need a place to store it so that's not just sitting out all winter. So we are going to take this area here. You can see my husband's kind of already started to clear it out a little bit. We are going to take this area and build a nice pole barn to fit the camper, and along the side there, probably clear some trees, we are going to build a greenhouse, or have a greenhouse. I'm so excited about that. Got an Amazon driver coming. So I am super excited about getting a greenhouse. That way, one, I don't have to start my seeds indoors downstairs in this tiny space and constantly have to finagle everything, because by the end of the year this year, if you had seen any of my videos, they were all over the table, taking over a kitchen table for a good month as I was trying to start hardening it off and putting them outside and bringing them back in. And so family dinners were non-existent at some point in time because it overtook from my plants. So I'm excited to have it outdoors, and then to extend my growing season so that way I can preserve a little bit more for a longer period. So I'm really happy that we're going to do that. And even though I said we need to finish some of these other projects before we start one, I also really am excited about my greenhouse too. So with that being said, those are kind of our 2 bigger projects that we want to work on this next year coming up, on the pole barn and making sure that the orchard just kind of starts growing and is healthier. And then of course, like keeping up on all of the other things, but it's once we don't have to build so many other projects, hopefully things will be easier to maintain and manage, and we're not constantly just working on something all the time, and we can enjoy a little bit more about what we're doing. So so I hope that you will follow us and kind of go along with us as we start building some of these things and growing our homestead even more. I'm going to continue to preserve things, you know, make things, you know, do whatever we can on the homestead to share with you. So please like and subscribe the page. That way you get all the notifications and you can follow along with us. So drop in comments what you might want to see, anything different that you want to see from us, or if you're just as excited as we are to kind of change our property into more of a homestead. We'll see you soon.